Hello. Welcome to Elevate Your Game. My name is Mrs. Denise Parker, and I am here with you to invite you to the conversation, to encourage you to listen up, to understand what is going on in our world today related to careers and opportunities, and also to introduce you to some wonderful special guests. And today's topic is careers against the odds, meaning everything that you think that you are up against. Yes, we're going to talk about it in a form of an experience, a person who's going to come on and just introduce himself later. And he's going to talk about his personal journey and how he made it to what he calls, I guess, his I guess his breaking point where he took what he had and he made, something better. Um, I don't know how to capture everything that people go through, but I love hearing what they experience. And I know that our audience loves hearing what they experience because it elevates your game. So before we get started, we're going to make some special announcements. And as you can see, this is Elevate Your Games, Careers Against the Odds. And before we go any further, we're going to talk about some wonderful things that are out there, such as getting to know us, who we are, what we do, NCRF, National College Resources Foundation, all our stuff that you've seen so far from our Black College, Latino College Expos, our STEAM Expos. You have seen us do some amazing things, but do you know our brands? Last session that we had, you got to meet and greet some wonderful team members of mine who are just doing an awesome job. And these are some of their related programs. So we have our National College Resources Foundation STEAM program, our NCRF Sports Athletic program, our NCRF Movement program, and then of course INC at the bottom is my program, Internships and Careers. And you are now featured on our NCRF TV network. Thank you so much for joining us, and follow us, like us on all our socials. And you can find our website at www.thecollegeexpo.org for all our latest and upcoming events that we have coming. We have the LA Black College Expo coming, our San Diego College Expo coming in January. So let's get on with it. Announcements. So I'm super excited because go Rams! Our 22 Super Bowl champions, Los Angeles Rams wide receiver coach Eric Yarber loves what NCRF is doing, and he wanted to support us in this wonderful opportunity. My calls, my cleats. So he took his Air Force Ones, his Nike Air Force Ones, and converted them tricked them out with our logo. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? So it's part of a charitable program that is kicked off in this December. And so if you're watching the game tonight, go Rams. They're playing the Raiders, and he should be wearing his shoes that have Sports Our logo. And some other players are wearing their favorite foundations or nonprofits that they're supporting. So they chose us, Mr. Coach Yarber. He is amazing. Go Rams. And on to internships and careers opportunities. We have some opening job postings for spring and summer of 2023. You need to pay attention. These deadlines are coming fast and furious. The Television Academy Foundation, also who produces the Emmys and does the voting, they have some wonderful opportunities that are up and coming. Eligible requirements, they vary in each position and major. You need a 3.0 grade point average or higher. You must be legally to work in the U.S., enrolled in an accredited university. You can scan that QR code to apply. Follow the prompts. The deadline is January 19th, no later than 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. American Airlines opportunities are still going on. Located in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, you have some wonderful opportunities, not just for our undergrads, but also for our graduate students. If you're interested in aviation engineering or business roles, Please apply, scan the QR code. You must, again, be legally to work in the United States with a 3.0 grade point average or higher. These are for rising juniors or seniors, or of course, graduate students. Comerica Bank, another one of our great partners, has some opportunities also in Texas and in Michigan. Summer internship programs, technology, HR, finance, you name it, business. It can go on and on and on in banking because a lot of things need banking support. There's various positions and majors can apply. 3.0 grade point average, yes, legally to work in the US and enrolled in an accredited university. Amazon has amazing opportunities, especially if you're interested in tech and business and engineering for undergrads and business majors. You have wonderful opportunity if you're a graduate student looking for advancing your degrees and getting some experience in Amazon and in technology and business. This is great opportunity for you. All these internships that we have said so far are paid internships. These are coming out of Seattle and Nashville, Tennessee. Please scan the QR code to apply. Microsoft has wonderful job opportunities. Various locations. Microsoft has tons of operations throughout the nation. Undergraduates and graduate students, and even people who enrolled in doctoral programs or PhD programs. These are great internships for you. Sales, business, security and software, engineering, and research. Again, various positions and majors can apply. Currently, undergrad, MBA, PhD, I've named it all. Let's scan that QR code so that you can apply. Oh, and of course, I'm from Los Angeles, so I have to rep my city. But the city of Los Angeles has opened up some wonderful volunteer and full-time opportunities paid in Los Angeles for the full-time opportunities. Volunteer, I'm pretty sure the volunteer are non-paid, but the full-time are paid. Working with Mayor-elect Karen Bass. Over 18 years or older, no degree necessary for volunteering position. Be ready to submit your resume. You can scan that QR code to apply. And please, again, for any of these opportunities, you must send me a message, Denise at NCR Foundation, so I can alert the recruiters or let the people who come onto our Elevate Your Game, alert them to let them know, hey, somebody applied to your internship. Most of these opportunities, we know some of the people who work in these various companies and organizations, so we're super excited to expose you further. You must be over the age of 18 years or older. Please, please, please only apply. And if you're interested in politics, this is the way to go. Another politician who just got elected for councilwoman, Katrina Manning, is also hiring. She's paying also to work in her office to assist her in various roles that she needs to relate to her community and her constituents in the city of Hawthorne, California. Yes, over 18, resume and cover letter. You must follow the prompts. This one you can alert me, but you can also send your resume directly to vote for Katrina Manning at gmail.com. Again, you must follow us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. These are the places where you get to know us and hear about all the wonderful, great things that are happening in our organization, our expos that are coming up, the resources that are provided, and also opportunities for you in the future. NCRF TV Network, you can follow us there on YouTube, National College Resources Foundation on our Facebook channels, and LinkedIn on National College Resources Foundation, and of course IG at NCR Foundation. Now let's get on with the show. I love it. It's awesome. Tons of announcements, tons of things to do, getting prepared for the 2023 season, getting prepared for the holidays. So much fun. So I want to introduce our special guest. I can't wait to just introduce him. He's super exciting and fun. And I met him at our Sacramento Black College Expo. He came just because he was just interested to find out more about what we do and how we do it. He's amazing. He's a motivational speaker. He started a company called The Blueprint Guru. He tries to encourage people to find their career passion and pathway and find it with diligence at all hands on, just nobody's going to hold you back. So please give us a super virtual round of applause, 2 snaps, what do you want to call it, for Mr. Damon Wiley coming to the street. What's up?
Yeah, what's going on, Denise? I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. For everyone that's watching, Denise has been a mentor and inspiration, and also someone that encourages me to understand that it's my purpose to keep doing what I'm doing. And so, a little bit about me: I'm a Bay Area native, born and raised. I was actually born in Oakland, and then right when I was born in Oakland, I flew straight out to LA, and I was there for a little while, and then I moved back. And I usually like to tell people when I tell them where I'm from Antioch, born and raised there. And then after middle school, I then moved to San Ramon, and then I went to a high school. But I'll bring it all the way back because what's my superpower is I'm super authentic in my story. A lot of people don't like talking about what's very difficult for them to digest in their life. For me, that's just my way of life. So I was homeless the first 4 to 5 years of life for me. Both my parents, my mother, she's a junior Olympian, had a full ride scholarship to San Francisco State. My father, he found himself in the streets. And so they ended up clicking together. And after 2 months of my mom being in college, they ended up having me. And so she dropped out of college. After having me, my father wasn't in my life. He was in jail most of my life. And my mother was just trying to figure it out, right? I'm first generation low income person, and my mom was a first gen, person in this space in this country. And so being an immigrant here, growing up for me, I grew up only hearing Thai. It was rare that I would hear English outside of it being my uncle. And so for a lot of my family members, that was kind of my experience. And so growing up homeless, coming back to the Bay Area from being in LA for a while, the reason why I claim Antioch when I speak about where I'm from is because that's the first place I was safe. So when I was 6 years old, I got adopted by my grandparents and uncle, and that changed my life. And so everyone always asks me, like, Damon, like, why do you do this work? And I'll speak to you guys more about the work that I do. But everyone always asks me, why am I so passionate about giving back to the youth and helping elevate and uplift our community, is because I was given a second chance. And for so many of us, especially that come from our community, we're not given a second chance.
Yeah.
And so my uncle and my grandparents, they put me in every sport I could possibly think of: football, basketball, baseball, soccer, karate, to try to get me out of that mindset of doing what my surroundings were doing, which is joining gangs, growing up in projects, doing stuff that's not conducive to us as a community. Then I got a really great opportunity in a full ride scholarship to go to De La Salle High School, where I was a part of the scholarship committee called the Bishop Cummings Scholarship. And they brought in and gave 60 to 70 of us that were like first gen low income students full ride scholarships. And so I went to all boy private high school. I played football over there. I was also the student liaison and spokesperson for our scholarship committee. And so I was raising millions of dollars for our community at De La Salle for us to build upon. And I came back each year because I'm really big on give back. I got to college. As soon as I got to college, and I got there because I'm a very gifted athlete, but I didn't take high school seriously. It's one of the biggest things that I'm ashamed of, because I didn't realize how important education is and knowledge is, right? And education and knowledge doesn't just come from the classroom. I just didn't understand the power of that. And so when I really understood that is when I got to college. So I went to UC Berkeley. When I got to UC Berkeley, first 3 classes I picked was art, astrology, and anthropology. I chose those 3 because those are the first 3 classes I saw, and they all start with an A. And so I picked those classes, and my advisor, like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. You guys told me to choose classes. I went out to the rugby field, and I had this woman that came on the field. Her name is Penelope. Shout out to Penelope if you hear me. She was like, Damon, she goes, I help athletes get internships, and I help them get jobs. I didn't know what an internship was as a 17-year-old, but I knew what a job was. So I stayed close to her. A lot of us speak about mentorship and like board of directors and people that you can rely on. I followed her path and she took me straight to the water. So I ended up getting 4 internships all throughout college. I joined 5 organizations and became the president of captain of them. I ended up finishing my senior year with 10 offers from all the big name companies you guys hear about, the LinkedIn's, the Googles, the Amazons, Salesforces of the world, as well as lower level companies and like startup, like really hot startups. I ended up choosing LinkedIn and they pushed my start date back. So when COVID hit, which is when I graduated in 2020, it hit March 9th. I'd never forget the day because I had a rugby game and then the day after I heard lockdown. And so I'm thinking, I'm good. I already signed my offer. Then May hits, I graduate May 15th, 2 weeks after that, right? Right around my birthday, which is May 31st. I got a call from LinkedIn saying, "Hey, we can't accept your offer right now. We're gonna have to push you to January." I didn't have a place where I can go and go kick it and go travel for a whole year, so I ended up working for a startup for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And working in that startup was like the best experience of my life. Being 21 years old, being a people manager, and also being able to be a partner with all these different verticals and areas within the
Mm-hmm.
company was so impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, my transition from that company to the next, which actually ended up coming back to LinkedIn, um, I tried to create a DE&I, basically whole entire like vertical and like own branch for my startup company. And they were kind of like,
So
"Hey,
you try to create a diversity, equity, inclusion group or program.
I tried to create a whole department."
Wow.
Yeah, I was very OD. Like that's just my mentality. I do. A lot of us are taught to like take little wins, right? It's a little wins. I wake up and I clean my bed. I make breakfast for myself. I drink some tea. Okay, we're creatures of habit. For me, I dream really big. So I'm like, I'm gonna create a whole DE&I department, and we're just gonna figure it out. Like that's how I think. And so I tried to create it. I created 13-month biweekly curriculum of all the large buzzwords. I created sessions, all this stuff, and they're like, "Hey, we're going through rebranding right now. We just acquired a company and we just did a merger. This is too much for us right now, so we're gonna have to pause, but we'd love to revisit." And at that point in time, I'm like, I'm not willing to revisit. I already built out the platform. Just let me run it. They were like, "This, we need to have more conversations." So I got impatient. So I ended up leaving there and I came to LinkedIn. Since being at LinkedIn, I've been here for a year. I brought in 50 students every single month that are part of the Black and Latinx community to come into LinkedIn to be able to expose, because I think that the power behind our community and our fight towards liberation is exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I'm a sales consultant. That is my day job. And what that means is I basically get to see people that come into LinkedIn that want to work with us. And I get to tell them whether like, "Hey, I don't know if it makes sense for us to be a right fit for you. Hey, this does make sense." And I kind of pull them along our kind of pipeline over here. Outside of that, I partner with all the like our in every single tech company, they have a nonprofit space. They have like social
Mm-hmm.
impact spaces and all these terms I've never heard of in my life. And so, yeah, I ended up partnering with all these teams. And while doing that, I was like, "Man, I feel kind of lonely doing this work." And I was like, "Man, I feel kind of burnt out doing this work." I'm like, "Man, I should get paid for doing this work." That was literally my mindset. I was like, "Man, this is kind of crazy."
I like how you're having conversations with yourself to figure it out. Like, you came from humble beginnings. You said you were homeless. You said you had a lot of struggles within your family. You said you were first generation in so many different aspects. What does it take for you to jump over those hurdles each time and
Yeah.
say that, yes, I can beat it? Yes, I can move forward. Why is it that, we get stuck and then we feel like, that's it. I quit. I give up. What made you keep going?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think for me is I have a really good mentor base, but I think for me, and then I'm speaking very humbly to you right now when I say this too. How I explain to my students is, this is you, Denise. These are all the rocks, and then this is a pot of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Us as a Black community, or us as a community of color, all these obstacles we see, we don't think about how do I go through them. We think, how do I jump over them? How do I go around them? And for me, what I figured out was, if my obstacles and rocks is reaching out to you as Denise, sending you a cold email, sending you a cold call, or reaching out to you via LinkedIn. And now you can give me information in order to help my life and help me progress quickly. Why wouldn't I do that? So a lot of our first gen students, and I hear it all the time, are like, I want to be rich. I want to be successful. I don't want the same circumstances as my family. I don't want to be the same as everybody else. I want to change the cycle. But then the biggest thing I tell them is, I want you to reach out to 10 people, and I want you to reach out to them on Monday, and then I want you to reach out to them the next Monday. And you'd be amazed how many students will actually do it and who won't do it because of the fear of rejection, right? And we allow this fear of rejection to make sure that we actually don't get money in our pockets and we don't become successful. And that was my first thought. My second thought was, once I got into corporate and I realized how many people that don't look like you and I, that say they believe in us and want us at their companies, how happy that they are that we're not in the company, and how happy that they are that we don't reach out and that we don't articulate ourselves to storytelling. We don't tell them about all of our superpowers. You know what I'm saying? And so those were kind of the ways in which I kind of jumped over those humps. I had to sit down with myself and I said, I want to be more successful than I'm afraid of rejection. And when I realized that, that's when I really skyrocketed. Like, it's not many people that graduate at 21 years old that touch six figures. That just doesn't happen, right? There's not many people that get re-offered into like a super large corporation. There's not many people that have two companies at a very young age.
And you were doing this, you graduated in 2020 and COVID hit March 9th. Yes, I remember that day too, because I had to shut down my business for a little bit.
Right.
And but you were getting multiple offers throughout that whole course because you had that ambition and that pot of gold, those rocks, those obstacles, those hurdles.
Yeah.
Then you can get to you can pick them up and convert them and be a part of your I guess the coin, the bag that you're trying to obtain.
Yeah.
How is it that you're taking all these gems now and motivating people? Why is it so important for you today to do it?
Yeah. So I didn't speak to the group about it, but I started a company called the Blueprint Guru. And what's so funny is I actually started out in the pilot. I started out the company as being called I Am Consultancy. And what it was supposed to do was it was supposed to speak about like basically the A and the M. So it's like, if you can envision it, it was like A-M. And essentially what it was supposed to do is my whole ethos was I'm meeting the students where they're at. I feel like a lot of professionals, especially corporate professionals, even our own people, they don't meet us where we're at. I'm a high school student. I'm 16 years old. You telling me I need to be strategic. You telling me I need to be a thought leader. I don't know what the hell that means. I now fast forward, I'm in college. I'm 19, 20 years old. You're telling me that I need to have all these bright ideas. I need to understand data sets and analytics and all these spaces. Getting an internship is to learn and acquire skills, right? And so when we really think about what that means, when I think about your question about like, why did I start all this and how do I motivate people? I started to see all the gaps. And that's why I called the Blueprint Guru and transition it from I Am to Blueprint, because what I found myself talking about was there's a blueprint to success and we just have to follow it. We don't need to rewrite the wheel. And so think about this, right? Like I told you, Denise, previously, I don't think of LinkedIn as a networking platform. I think of it as a blueprint for success. If I want to be you, Denise, I know exactly how to do it. Because guess what? You keep your LinkedIn updated. I'm someone that's aspiring. I get to see every step you take. And then I get to reach out to you to say, hey, how can I do it easier? And now you're going to give me this information that took you 30 years to acquire and now bringing it down and simplifying it for me. And when I realized that was my sophomore year in college when I was 19, I said, oh my God, I figured it out. And so what I did, and this for everyone that's watching, this was my key. I reached out to 30 professionals per every company that I wanted to work for, Black, Hispanic, or roles that I wanted to do. And what I did was I created ecosystems and pockets of people in every company. So now I have someone at every single company. On top of that, I joined organizations on campus when I was in college that were plugged into all these companies too.
So you did this while you were in school.
Yeah.
at Berkeley, and Berkeley is a great school, by the way. It's there's tons of people come from all over the world just to come to Berkeley. It's a coveted UC school.
Yeah.
Um, but you were networking within these outside groups and organizations so that you can build. What was your why? Why were you doing that?
Yeah, I come from nothing and I've been given everything. And I can't sit down. See, for me, it hits home when I see people on the streets that are homeless.
Mm,
Because for most folks, right? So if you have an experience that you go to jail or you come from the ghetto or you come from the hood, you can drive out of that situation. You can live in a completely different area and never have to think about it unless it's you working through yourself to heal. For me, I get a constant reminder about why I do what I do every day when I walk on the streets. When I see someone that's on the streets that's doing drugs, or I see someone that's passed out, or see someone with no clothes in the cold, it
mm,
always ignites me because that concept of when I think about wanting to be successful and I think about what success means to me, and I actually believe in what I say when it comes to generational wealth and success and knowledge and exposure, I lead with that on my chest as armor. And so
mhm,
every day when I come into the office, for example, I'm at LinkedIn right now, my headquarters. When I came into the office today, I said, I'm going to put on because I'm putting on for the Bay Area. I'm putting on for my city and I'm putting on for my family. And so everything that I do is because I actually believe in being successful and I'm following the people that are already doing it, similar to yourself.
Wow, I like that. And those 30, why did you pick the number 30? Why was that the number that you for reaching out? Was that a number that was special to you? Like give us some nuggets and tips of how to, do stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
look at your situation a little different.
Yeah, no. So for me, and I use the same message, and that might be, most people are like, oh, you use the same message on all these people. Absolutely,
Of course,
because
yeah.
everyone knows what it is, right? My message was, hi, my name is Damon. I'm a second year at UC Berkeley. I'm studying business right now. I'm studying English. I admire you. I admire you, and I think you're amazing. And I would love to just hear about your journey and background to LinkedIn or to Salesforce or to Google or to tech. And I sent that same message out to all of these professionals.
Mm,
And 30 it doesn't have particular significance to me. It's just something that I started at. So I
mm,
started at 30 and it ended up being 60. And I started creating all these ecosystems of people, right? And
mm,
as I created these ecosystems, I started getting invited. And Denise, I
mm.
started getting invited to the in circles. You know what I'm saying? I started getting invited to the galas and to the kickbacks and to all the little drink parties and all the little soirees. And I started meeting all these people that had the same vision as me, but they're a lot older, right? And now I'm in spaces where I'm 24, where I'm constantly in spaces with people who are 50, 55
Mhm. Mhm.
because y'all that are wealthy, y'all like to stay around each other, which makes sense. But us as a young generation, we don't understand that, right? Most of us would rather go kick it with the famous rapper and someone who's TikTok famous than go kick it with someone that's a billionaire that isn't flashy, right? And for me,
Mm.
my mindset is shifted because I'm like, I want to see how they do what they do and outside of being flashy. And so, yeah, that's what I would say.
That is a career against the odds. Like you're going in spaces and places that people normally don't think about. And I like that about how you connect. That is a gem there. Finding that mantra that you're
Yeah,
saying over and over again to numerous people so that they can actually you start to own it when you keep repeating
yeah,
it. I admire you. I like what you do. You motivate me. I would
yeah,
like to learn more. I would like to get to know you. And that's intense. It's a good way to break up. The most that somebody can say would be like, well, what would you like to know?
exactly.
I
Right,
mean, they're not going to tell you no. They're going to be like,
right.
well, what would you like to know about me? Like,
Yeah,
I'm interested to find out more about you. Like,
right.
the
Yeah,
conversation can go back and forth how you word it, as
yeah,
opposed to I need help, I need support. When you actually create, this synergy conversation as opposed to this is a one-time situation. I need this now, and you can only help it. How do you elevate young people who come from humble beginnings like you did to change their verbiage? their mindset, their to have more integrity in their approach. What do you say to those people when
I think
they really don't have any examples?
yeah, I think it's funny, Denise, is like I just had this experience actually happen to me last month. So I took these students from the town, which is Oakland, and the
Hmm.
city, which is San Francisco. I took 50 of them and I brought them to LinkedIn. And so it's funny, most people are like, well, I teach them how to be strategic, or like I tell them about a resume and LinkedIn. I can do all of that. I can teach you about LinkedIn, resume, storytelling, how to negotiate contracts, how to break into tech. I can speak about all these things. But what really separates me from a lot of folks is I'm really big with exposure, super, super big. And so if you as Denise is telling me, hey Damon, I've never had anyone care about me. I grew up this type of way. My parents are on welfare. They're getting convicted 24/7. The first thing I tell them, let me bring you to LinkedIn. First thing, very first. Let me just show you what my world looks like. You know I make money, you know I'm successful, but that means nothing to you because you don't understand how to get there. But let me show you what the life looks like. Let me show you that there's people in this company that make as much as NBA players, football players, soccer players that are just working professionals. They work 4 or 5 hours a day. Boom, making as much money as all these people that we idolize, rappers, so on and so forth. And so my first step is bringing them in and exposing them. The second step is
As they
helping
are, coming as they are.
as they are. Nothing else. No dress up in a suit, no nothing. Just come. The
Mm.
second thing that I do is I sit down and I ask this very simple question, and this always unlocks something in all my students. If I gave you all the money in the world, you would never have to worry about money again. If I was to fully fund you for the rest of your life, but I told you you have to choose one job or one thing
Mm.
you'd have to do, what would it be? And it's really interesting what I hear, Denise. And this is from, I talk to students who are PhDs, who are masters, who are college, junior college, high school dropouts. And it's the craziest thing because what I hear is, Damon, I need to get into real estate. I'm going to become a real estate agent. Damon, I want to study business. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a football player. I want to be NBA. And it's always the same roles. It's nothing really. I want
Yeah.
to be engineer when they don't even know what focus of engineering. And
Right.
whenever I ask them this question, the answer is always, oh, well, if you were fully funding me for the rest of my life, oh, I'd paint my whole life. It's like, what? I paint. Oh yeah, yeah. If I could do that, I would create my own nonprofit company that was focused in sustainable energy. Huh? Where did this just come from? Oh, I would buy up a bunch of apartment complexes in the hood, and I would make sure that only Black people lived in them. Wow, right? So it's like it's interesting to me, and I start to open my young kids' minds because number one, they're like, oh my God, I can see myself being at LinkedIn. Wow, this is so amazing. And then
Mm.
the second piece is let's talk about your passion points. And then the third thing is road mapping. And that's where the blueprint guru comes into play, where I help them
I
road
love
map
it.
and build their blueprint to success.
Oh, that is amazing. Okay, so you got my wheels, my mind just spinning like, what would, what if Oprah came to me and said, I'm giving you a platform just to do your show
Yeah.
whenever you want to? And of course, we have our people who we idolize. And, you know, how can one, are they intimidated by you when they speak with you?
Students?
Young people, yes.
No, honestly, no. I actually never get students being intimidated. I know I give off very forward
Mhm.
energy and a lot
Yeah,
of like, hey, this is the way it is. But I think the biggest thing that really disarms students is I am them. And I don't ever make them think otherwise or understand otherwise.
that's great.
I am
Yeah.
you, I am them, I was you, I am in a different position because I took these steps. And these certain steps that I took, I want you to take the same ones. And I think it's so funny, Denise, because I'm not telling them to study engineering. I'm not
Mhm.
telling them to study economics, become a lawyer. All that I tell them is reach out to 30 people or even reach out to 5 people that do what you want to do. And even if you don't know what you want to do, finding 5 people that look like you or you feel safe with through a picture, reach out to them, see what happens. And that, because it's perspective. We
Yeah.
don't get perspective when you're in the hood. You don't get perspective when you're closed off in an environment.
Right.
And I realized the power of college actually isn't the educational piece. And a lot of people will say otherwise to me, but it actually wasn't the educational piece for me. it was actually exposure and perspective that I got. I
Mhm.
played on a rugby team where I was the only black person on the team,
Mhm.
but all the dudes that I played with were from South Africa, Chile, New Zealand, all throughout the
Mhm.
UK, all throughout California, New York, Texas, Atlanta. And
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, what does life look like for them? Okay, that's a whole new perspective. Okay, wait, I joined a historically black fraternity with guys that are very different from me. My line brothers, one's from Africa, the other one is from Baldwin Hills in LA. Okay, great. I joined them. I joined the 100 Black Men. Oh my God. Now I'm talking to dudes that are from Ghana and I'm talking
Mhm.
to folks that are from Canada. What?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so now I'm joining all these orgs and I'm like, oh my God, this is why people go to
The
college.
world gets bigger outside.
Yeah.
And I always tell our young people who I speak in front of, our high school students who haven't been exposed to much. They only know those four walls that are in their high school and in their community. And I tell them that this is not the world. When you leave here and graduate, it's going to open up and you're going to feel like it's going to swallow you whole because you
Yeah.
haven't been prepared. When you get to college, a lot of young people fail or quit because it's overwhelming. There's so much going on,
Yeah.
so much happening, whether it's fun happenings or just pressure or competition or having to be on all the time and be really ready and prepared. Nobody's telling you what to do. You have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Blueprint is something somebody would need so that they can actually figure it out, whether they're coming out of high school or going transitioning into college or coming out or deciding not to go to college, just trying to figure out a life plan.
Yeah.
What is the most important lesson you have learned along your way and what you can share with your younger self?
Yeah. I'm my worst own enemy. That's the number one thing that I would share. You are your own worst enemy. And I always heard adults say it. And when I actually started understanding what that meant, I was like, oh my God. Because oftentimes when you grow up, especially where I grew up and where other folks grow up, like it's always, oh man, I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
Oh, my family didn't do this, so I don't know about this.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know too much about that, so I'm just gonna quit. Or I'm gonna
Mhm.
move away from this. And I realized when I started sitting down and looking myself in the mirror and saying, you are the person
Mhm.
that's going to be successful. You are going to be the person that will lead the charge. That's
Mhm.
when I started sitting down and I was like, man, I think I can actually do this.
Mhm.
Every day I amaze myself because I reach out to someone new. And for folks that are listening too, I don't think I'm perfect. I don't have it figured out. I just give resources and access to whoever the hell needs them. And I'm
Mhm.
unapologetically myself. And anyone that knows me knows that.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to bring my whole self to the space. So I don't code switch at work.
Mhm.
I
That's key.
do I do me
That's key.
24/7,
That's
and
key.
it's beautiful.
I like that. Yeah, code switching, it can get you in trouble because you can have two sides of yourself and you never know when you're turning it off and turning it on, and then
Right.
you're lying a lot of times to
Right.
yourself,
Yeah.
to who you are and what you represent, and then people call
Yeah.
you fake, they call you two-faced, they have all different types of words behind your back. But if you come with your full self, with genuine transparency, integrity within
Yeah.
that, learning
Yeah.
how to speak when spoken to, um, yeah, you can cross any barrier and
Yeah.
still be yourself completely, having fun, being charismatic,
Yeah.
loud or rambunctious, but
Yeah.
serious and focused. Or, we all have different parts of our characteristic and personalities that either set well with individuals or they can brush people the wrong way. The key is to sharpen yourself with other people, telling you, giving you hard, critical words that make you stronger and better
Yeah.
and self reliant. Um, how do you encourage others to find their calling, their grit, their own true self while keeping that integrity?
Yeah. I think first for me, I went to therapy just to be transparent with everybody. And I'll give you guys a funny ass story. So when I first started going to therapy, my grandmother said, "What's wrong with you?" And she didn't say what's wrong with you in a sense of like I'm mad at you, but she said
Mm-hmm.
like, do you need help? Do we need to take you to the hospital? Because my grandmother, she's 66 going on 67, and she comes from a generation where if you're seeking out for help mental wise, then you're crazy.
Oh.
Now, my uncle, he's in his 40s. And when I told him I was going to therapy, he was like, okay, cool. Let me know how it goes. Nothing else. And he was like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized, to answer your question about how do you find your passion points, there's a really big sense of purpose and sense of self. And I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the biggest things is if you don't find yourself, like if you don't find yourself being able to be alone,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you don't find yourself loving yourself, it's
Mm-hmm.
really difficult to be successful. Even people that make millions of dollars, and if they don't love themselves, they really never truly feel successful at the end of the day, because you can't sit at yourself and look at yourself in the mirror. And so
Mm-hmm.
what I did was, actually, when I really exploded with my career, and Denise talked about like when did I hit that point when I hopped over the hump, is when I actually is um, when I actually sat there and was okay with myself. When I sat there and I asked myself, do you love yourself? Do you care about yourself? Are you enough? And I had to answer these really hard questions for myself. And the way I did it was I read a book called The Five Whys.
Mm-hmm.
And this book, The Five Whys, basically what it does is it asks you to ask yourself why to every single response and answer you give. So, Damon, you grew up in a tough circumstance. Why are you not as open to people and to trusting folks?
Mm.
Well, I'm not open to trusting people because the two people that brought me into this world were people that I felt like didn't care about me at the end of the day because they didn't raise me. Well, why do you feel that way? Well, I feel like they abandoned me. Well, why do you
Mm-hmm.
feel abandoned? Well, I didn't have parents. And you keep going down this funnel and pipeline of why, which ultimately brings you to a place where I cried a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that crying, and I felt like it was like, I did all this when I was 17 to 19 years old, or sorry, 18 to 20 years old. And those 2 years of crying made up for 20 years of not crying. And that was so unique for me. And since I turned 18 years old, I've been going to therapy since. So, and that was in what, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So from the last 4 years, my development and growth, I'm talking about tenfold. Money, development, growth, career opportunities, career trajectory, conversations, partnerships, relationships, everything just has amplified. So,
Let me take a pause there because I want to make sure we get people on to ask questions, and
yeah,
people, you guess, audience, you guys can come behind the scenes and get on the studio, on the back side of the studio. You can scan that QR code in the corner, and that will get you into the live stream so you can ask questions to Mr. Wiley, myself, and just be a part of the conversation if you're
yeah,
interested. There's tons of nuggets here. You have a transparent person giving these nuggets, and I love that we have. You're coming from humble beginnings. You are still pushing through. You want to keep giving back. You want to keep
yeah,
serving and uplifting, because there's so many of that negative, you know, outcomes are happening. There's very little people like yourself, myself, NCRF, people within your organization also, who are doing the work to save people's lives and provide
mhm,
resources. A lot of people are really frustrated, banging their head against, rocks and just trying to make something work. So we have a young lady here, Miss Leathers, Jordan Leathers. I want to see if she wants to ask a question. So I'm going to bring you on to ask a question. Get ready, Jordan. If you're ready, let me see. Jordan, are you there?
Hi, I'm here, but I'm not gonna show my face.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Do you have any questions, comments to Mr. Wiley?
I respect everything you talked about, and I feel like it's really important in order to grow, to be vulnerable. So I'm glad that you talked
mhm.
about, you crying and just asking yourself, why you have certain beliefs that, can be limiting sometimes. Because I,
Yeah,
I feel the same way.
Yes.
yeah,
Do
I
you have
love
any
it.
words of encouragement, Damon, to share with her?
Yeah, Jordan, I'm just sending a lot of love and positivity your way. Oftentimes I think through like our social media and like all this music, it's easy to like it's easy to be disconnected and it's easy not to like each other, right? But we don't often hear people say, "Hey, I love you," and like I appreciate you and I commend you and I'm impacted by you and I wish nothing but the best for you. So I appreciate you for coming on and saying those kind words.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Do you
Thank
have
you.
any questions regarding your career pathway, Jordan? What do you want to aspire to do? How do you want to do it? Where do you see yourself upon graduation?
That's a good question. I feel like I'm looking more toward working for like an agency or something on the independent side in the event world. Um, so honestly, just any opportunity I could find outside of like the traditional, entry level job is how I'm gonna try to approach it when I graduate.
And where are you graduating from?
I'm graduating from the Rosen College with
Okay.
UCF in
Okay,
Orlando.
cool. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, well, I just want to give you this quick nugget too, Jordan. What helped me in my career trajectory was finding people that did exactly what I'm doing, um, that are successful, and I had a bunch of mentors that were doing it. So when I interned my college time, I interned with sales and marketing. I did sales and marketing internships, so I found a bunch of people in the sales and marketing space. And so I had a bunch of mentors that I didn't have to take the hard road anymore, you know? And that's everything that I speak about is like, how do we not make this difficult? How do I make this as easy as possible, right? And
Mm.
so I would just challenge you as you continue on your journey, find people that are in the agency space to help push you forward.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That's excellent. Thank you, Jordan, for asking your question and continue success. We'll talk soon, Jordan. I can't wait to catch up. Okay. So, we're talking about careers against the odds. What are the challenges that one must expect to face when seeking any career that nobody else in their sphere of influence has accomplished?
Yeah.
What can you expect? I mean, you had the breaking point at one point or several points because you didn't know anybody at that time personally.
Yeah.
So what can one expect? What so you can just kind of say, okay, I'm gonna expect this. Dust the dirt off my shoulders, get back up, let's go. So you don't feel like it's gonna be intimidating.
Yeah, I think number one, expect to be an outcast. And what I mean by that, most of the people that you work with, they're not going to come from your background, come from where you come from, and or have shared live experiences. That's
Mm,
the first thing. A lot of
okay.
us though, will come into this space and be like, man, I'm going to find a buddy that went through all the same life experiences as me. It's just not going to happen, right? Or it's going to be very, very rare.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is understand what you're doing for work, become very good and skilled at what you do so then you can do what you actually want to do. And what I mean by that, right? So I have a quota at the end of every quarter, which means at the end of every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
If I can hit my quota in the first month or month and a half, then I have a month and a half to be able to fully invest into what I actually like to do, which is giving back to children, giving back to kids, giving back to our community to expose them to all these, great things that I see around me. And I think the last thing is, for a lot of people, no one really understands what bungees are, and I didn't know what that term meant when I first got in it. But being at LinkedIn and just any tech company, for example, and you can even do this in college or high school, I would go to people that I liked what they do for work, and
Mm-hmm.
I would say, "Hey, can I shadow you for a day?" I
Mm-hmm.
would shadow them and then say, "Hey, can I actually help you with a project?" And then,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, can I actually do my own project?" Okay,
Yes.
great. And then, "Can you give me feedback on how I can do better?" And then
Yes.
I'm off to the ground running. And so what I actually did in LinkedIn, like my name is very big here now because what I did was I did a bunch of Bungie projects with people. So I sat on a bunch of panels, I gave a bunch of speeches, and I also worked with a bunch of teams to tell them, hey, this is how things should work. This is how we should do them. Right. And so I did a lot of strategy work within my actual. So I do the work of probably six people as one person because I believe in skills. So yeah.
It's very interesting. You're very extroverted. So what do you tell somebody who is not as outspoken,
Yeah.
but still need to find their way?
Yeah. There isn't one shoe fits all. So there's people on my team that are not extroverted, that are introverted, do extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would do is, if you're introverted and you're like, man, I'm afraid to take the first step, I would recommend grabbing one of your friends and doing it together, taking a first step together, because you don't need to take this step alone. And you also don't need to reach out to 30 to 60 people. That's something I did. You can just start with 5. You can even start with 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I know one thing: if you reach out to me via LinkedIn, I will respond and we will set up a one-on-one. I'm really, really big with not gatekeeping. And a lot of people gatekeep, even our own people. And I'm not about that. I'm about giving you a roadmap, path to success, but more so helping you find your path and passion and purpose to success, and what that looks
Mm-hmm.
like for you, how you shape it.
Yes, I love it. I think that most people need to learn how to break out of those silent cycles, those introverted cycles here and there. They can be very boisterous online, on social media, but not in person. They can't back it up, and you got to
Yeah,
back it up.
right,
As one of our ambassadors, Yo-Yo, says, she goes, you got to back it up. Whatever you want to say out there, you got to back it up with some
right,
facts.
right.
So, how would you tell somebody to start to get into getting out there, networking?
Yeah,
Don't be afraid. Use your school's resources, especially if you're on college campus.
yeah,
Join those groups. What are some 5, or just say a few things that they can take away before we close this session out, that you can do tomorrow?
yeah,
School's about to end for the semester and then close out with a new semester. So come January, when you start school, the new semester starts, you're ready to go with these great focal points of how you're going to be more, out there, joining groups, networking. If you're already joining groups, being part of having projects, leading things, or just being a little bit more aware of your surroundings. As you said, exposure. What is the other word? You said exposure, and you also said that you learned 2 things in college. You had exposure, and
and
then you had
perspective.
perspective.
Yeah,
Perspective. I almost said perseverance, but that's also part of it.
yeah. No, I mean, to answer your question, I think first, before I answer, um, I think I'd like to tell folks that, number one, you're not bad kids.
Right.
I thought I was a bad kid my whole life. That's
Mm.
because of all the
Mm.
trauma, pain, hurt. You're not a bad kid. You're not a
Mm.
bad person. You do deserve good things. You do deserve good things to happen to you. You do deserve to be happy and successful. That's number one. Number two is, we can't allow people that don't look like us to continue to keep winning.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, we allow them to keep winning because we don't do these certain small things. These are things that I'm going to tell you guys now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in college and even in high school, so in high school, I joined the football team and I studied. When I got to college, I realized I wasn't going to cut it. So what I did was, I was a recruiter when I was at LinkedIn, and being in the inside, I get to see how so many different companies, how they think through and how they recruit for Black and Hispanic people.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys all know how most of these tech companies recruit for Black and Hispanic people. They put in keywords. Now, these keywords are all the same across the board. And that's why we keep saying the same exact people that are coming into each space. So for Black people specifically, you need to be a part of NSBE, National Black Engineers. You need to be a part of NABA, National Black Accountants. You need to be a part of the Divine Nine. That is the historically Black fraternities and sorority systems. Those are the top 3. Outside of that, there's 3 programs: SEO, SEO, MLT, and Inroads. Those are 3 other organizations that are programs that you can join during college, that are going to put you over the edge as far as being top candidates. Now, let's say you don't join any of the organizations I just told you about or the programs I just spoke about, and we're just starting from ground zero, what you can do tomorrow. Answer this first question. If I funded you your whole life, what would you do? If it's being a videographer, photographer, so on and so forth, whatever that goal is, I want you to go onto LinkedIn and I want you to find 5 people that do that look like you. And when you feel connected to them through profile picture, send them a message saying, "Hi, my name is X. I currently am doing this. I'm really interested in your journey and background. I'd love to learn more. Are you open for 15 to 20 minutes to speak?" Send that message out to them, connect with them through LinkedIn, and you'll be off to the races from there.
Yes.
That's starting point one. Those are things that you can do directly tomorrow. And then the last thing that I'll say, sorry to cut you off, Denise.
No, you do.
Like I said, LinkedIn. And if you don't have a LinkedIn, right, how do you even start it? Because this is what I hear often. It's like, Damon, everyone tells me to do a LinkedIn and resume. I don't even know what the hell those are.
Yeah.
I never knew what they were either. But guess what I did, right? And this is me thinking about being resourceful. So if I just started my LinkedIn, if I just signed up for LinkedIn, have nothing on there, but I want to be just like Denise, what the hell do you guys think you're supposed to do? I go to Denise's platform and I look exactly what she's doing. Oh, she's posting pictures. Oh, she has a nice photo for her profile picture. She has a nice header. Oh, she has words underneath her name that says this, this, this. Oh, she has an about section. Okay, how the hell do I do about section? Oh, let me go to YouTube. Oh, I'm going on YouTube. I'm seeing how to do an about section. Oh, so this is how you experience it.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for us to research and exploit a famous artist or rapper. We'll know every single song from every rapper. We'll know every single movie from an actor or from TikTok or from, so on and so forth. But when it comes to our own investment in ourselves, we get lazy, we get complacent, we procrastinate. So my challenge is follow the blueprint, reach out and build a network, and you will find yourself in a very successful situation.
Well, that is a mic drop. Go ahead, mic drop. You are elevating our game today. Careers against the odds. Thank you, Damon, for sharing those life-changing nuggets, tips, skills, resources.
Yeah.
What can people find on your website? I had it up. And what can they find on your website? What's the purpose of your website? And what is
So on my website, you'll find my speaking engagements in some of the schools that I've spoken with. On my LinkedIn, you'll be able to follow my career and where I've been speaking and what I speak about. And I actually have an Instagram as well, which is just blueprint.guru that you can follow as well to follow my career. And I'm going to start posting some videos about how to help students get to the next level, whatever level that looks like, because everyone always speaks about like, how do I break into tech? How do I break into law? For me, I don't speak about that. I speak about how do you do what you want to do and how do we get there? And so I would follow all 3 pages. If you want to reach out and understand and learn more, I'm more than happy to speak with any of you guys. I'm really big with one-on-ones and career coaching.
And you are still enrolled in Berkeley because I see you have a Berkeley EDU.
I actually bought my Berkeley EDU. Yeah. So I bought it 3 years ago.
Excuse me. Wait a minute. Hold up. Rewind. What did you say?
Yeah. So we get these little Berkeley EDU emails and you can actually get them when you graduate. So I bought mine. Yeah.
I never thought about doing that.
Yeah.
That was a real nugget right there. That was coin right there. Wow. Ooh.
Yeah. And I did that so people always continue to take me serious. If I'm emailing them from my Berkeley EDU or from LinkedIn.com, right? They're always going to take me serious because I'm coming with prestige to them. But even if I didn't have this, I can still do Gmail. Right. Great question, Jordan. Yeah, my major over there, I actually didn't do a business major. So a lot of people are like, how the hell? I actually studied English. I studied English and I minored in economics. And so a lot of people are like, how did you? Because think about this, right, Jordan and Denise, for folks that are listening, like I studied English basically, and I got 10 offers from large technology companies. And so what did I do that kids that studied business, that did all the great big internships, what did I do differently than them? Right. And that's the formula I'm trying to share with everybody. So
I think, okay, so we're going to stop right there. because we're at time,
Yeah.
but we want to tease people to come back and hear more. You see, I have great guests that come on to this show.
Yeah.
Every week we have great guests. We're growing this show to something phenomenal. Eventually, it's going to be our young people leading these conversations and
Wow.
asking these industry experts because I want them to shine. This is not for me. This is for you guys.
Right.
You guys are stretching and growing and trying to meet people. This is how you're going to do it. You're going to do it in a very profound way, and we're building the platform for you. Elevate Your Game is here
Yeah.
for you. It's all about love. As Dr. Price says, she uses her love words every week, every day. Every time she gets inspired, she does the love words on
Yeah.
her Instagram. And I wanted to share this opportunity to let Damon give us some love of all the things that he's doing and encouraging others to seek. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful conversation. Next week on Thursday, we're going to be kicking off our entrepreneurship program and
Yeah.
talking about all the things that you can do in business and just having a general conversation. I'm not going to announce the special guest yet. I'm going to be leading the conversation, but I'm inviting all our industry experts to come and just add to it, just add nuggets to starting a business. And people have goals in 2023 that are outside of working just in corporate America, just like you. You had your own goal. And it's important to build a brand, a business while you are in your college career, in your own personal professional careers. Because guess what? When you look back, you're like, man, I should have started something. I learned all
Right.
this. I have all this, know-how. I'm not getting paid my worth, and now you can make your own income.
Yeah.
So, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us again at Elevate Your Game. And I look forward to speaking with you further about everything you're going. They can reach you at your email and your website. I'm going to leave the email up for the last time so that people can reach you. And again, my name is Mrs. Denise Parker, and this is Elevate Your Game. See you next week.
Thank you.